Hello and welcome to A Day in Film. Today's film in question is Singin' in the Rain, directed by Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen, and starring Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor, Gene Hagen, and Millard Mitchell. And before I get into this glowing review, because I adore this movie, it would mean the world to me if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It gives me that push of inspiration to keep making these videos for you guys, because I want nothing more than to entertain you guys. And again, sorry for my voice or if I sound stuffy, I am fighting through a fever right now. But the reason Singin' in the Rain, is my favorite classic Hollywood movie, and one of my favorites of all time actually, is because of just the pure wonder and just joy that's on screen, pretty much this entire movie. I'm thinking of pretty much this entire movie right now in my head. It's just that memorable. And not only that, but each scene just feels so powerful. And this movie is a romantic musical, and it nails both genres so perfectly. And in a lot of ways, in my head anyway, I bounce Singin' in the Rain and La La Land back and forth. Because even though they're both kind of meta stories, in La La Land they're trying to break into Hollywood, and in Singin' in the Rain, they're trying to pull their studio Monumental out of a hole that they're digging themselves into with still quiet pictures. And it's just the performances from the main two, from the couple in both movies, is just insane. Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds just have such insane chemistry in this movie, and Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling in La La Land. It's so much fun to watch, and it just feels so pure and magical. And I guess I'll go into why I like Singin' in the Rain so much, just beat by beat. To start, the story is just brilliant. It starts with Hollywood in the still muted silent movies era, and then it jumps to once audio started being introduced to films, and it's Monumental kind of trying to claw themselves out of this hole that they had just dug by making another muted picture. And all the while they're doing that, Don Lockwood, Gene Kelly's character, is falling in love with Kathy Selden, or Debbie Reynolds' character. And it's just so much energy in this movie, and a lot of that, I have to give credit, right now, is thanks to Donald O'Connor's performance. His character of Cosmo Brown is just the most upbeat, kind of goofy, silly guy, and one of the most memorable musical numbers in this movie, the Make 'Em Laugh musical number, is from Donald O'Connor's. And he acts like a rag doll. He's just so practical. He's throwing himself all over the set. He's getting hit by boards on the head. He's slipping and falling over. He's doing backflips. It's just so much energy from him especially. And because the movie is set in a studio for a good chunk of it, it makes the Hollywood magic feel even more real. Because it's like a behind the scenes, but not quite. So you have the actual Hollywood magic where they kind of show you what making a movie used to be like. And then they have the actual Hollywood magic where you watch these actors do these beautifully choreographed and directed musical numbers. And that's another thing that I have to credit about this movie, because I don't think there is a single bad musical number in this film. Each one, to my mind, is gorgeous. Obviously there's the one where Gene Kelly is singing in the rain. That one's iconic for great reason. There's the Good Morning musical number that's also iconic. Even smaller musical numbers like Moses Supposes, and the one that Debbie Reynolds does, and even that random scene kind of midway through the movie where they do the Beautiful Girl musical number. Just beautiful. There are two parts in the movie like that. There's the Beautiful Girl musical number and the Broadway melody musical number, where it almost takes you out of the film to show you this. And normally it would feel a little clunky. It would just kind of feel like it was done just for the hell of it to kind of stretch runtime. But in this film, it's so beautiful and it's so just energetic and passionate that it doesn't even feel like you're just being kind of led on so the movie's a little longer. It feels perfect in the story, and they both serve important story functions. I'm not saying that they're just visual masterpieces, but they manage to keep you in the film when, for a good chunk, for all of the Beautiful Girl musical number, there's no main characters in it. And for the Broadway melody musical number, it's not even set anywhere you've seen before. It's just there. And the fact that Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen directed it this beautifully, and Gene Kelly especially being an actor in the film, it's just unbelievable. This movie is, to me, almost the perfect movie. This is the perfect romantic musical, because I could watch this movie 100 times and still notice new things about it. Like, this is like my 5th or 6th viewing of the film because it's so short too. It's like an hour 32. And because it's so short, the movie does really go by on a brisk, kind of smooth pace. And that's why it's so easy to rewatch. And again, I notice new things about this film every day I watch it. Like, I watched it today. This is like my 8th viewing or something. And I noticed that all the scenes in the theaters, the lights were still on. And I was wondering to myself, it's like, they didn't do it like that back then, did they? You know, it was like weaker projectors and stuff. But it's a stylistic choice, and it just works so well. And this movie is just so emotional. It brought me to tears on my first viewing at the end, when Don Lockwood and Kathy Selden are singing to each other, and he goes, "That's the girl whose voice you heard tonight." And they both start, Kathy's in tears, and Dawn is slowly walking to her, and it's just so beautiful. It's just, this movie captures that Hollywood magic perfectly, and I could watch this film 1,000 times and still adore it. And the cinematography is beautiful. It follows a lot of those classic Hollywood tropes purposefully, because it is a movie about classic Hollywood. And watching everything change around the actors as the world of Hollywood itself changed, just awesome. I just adore this movie. And I know I haven't credited them much, but Gene Hagen and Millard Mitchell, Lena Lamont and R.F. Simpson respectively, are both such important aspects of the film, but are also just so great. Like, Lena is the antagonist, I guess you'd call her, and R.F. Simpson is the studio head. And even though R.F. Simpson doesn't really do much in the film, he's just kind of around. He has like 8 or 9 scenes. Every instance of him being in the film is just so funny. Like, at the end, his last line in the film is, "I'm so confused, I don't know what to do." It's just so funny. And Lena Lamont is so hilarious too. Her voice is really funny, and her just pure hatred for Kathy Selden, also hilarious. I mean, I don't know how many more times I can say Hollywood magic, but I hope you can tell by the passion in my voice that I adore this movie, because I do. I am coming through a fever and a sore throat and a runny, dry, stuffy nose just to tell you that you absolutely have to watch Singin' in the Rain. This was my introduction to classic Hollywood, classic film in general, older film I guess you'd call it maybe. Just every second of this film is magical. The use of color too, I haven't even gone over that. It's just everything pops in this movie. I don't know how they color graded it. I don't know what they filmed on. But that scene during the Broadway Melody musical number, where he kind of disappears into this world with his mafia girlfriend, and you see them dance on, it looks like an infinite runway and beautiful pink sky. It's just insane how beautiful they were able to make this film. And it shows that even then, people had a genuine understanding of what film was. It's easy to think that, people are only really getting into film now, and, Pulp Fiction only came out in the 80s, and that's like the real start of cinema, and, it's just an example. But people really knew what they were doing since the start. And I love this movie. I love all these actors and actresses. It's just pure talent and perfection. I don't think there's a single bad moment in this film. But that's all I have to say. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the theaters.